أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة لأهل التقوى واليقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفدا واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من اللعان إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه. There are many verses in the Holy Quran that talk about the life of Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajah. And can you not hear? There are many people saying that they can't hear it.
Oh, I can hear.
Okay, that's fine. So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has revealed many, many verses in the Holy Quran about the 12th Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. And I would like to refer to a number of those verses concerning the life of Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam. And he is a living mystery. He is in the hiding or in occultation. We cannot see him. And we will talk about his ghaibat as well, this occultation, which is known to be ghaibat. And the Holy Quran, when it starts Surah Baqarah, it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِّلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes about the God conscious, the muttaqeen, the people who have taqwa. There are many different words. God fearing or God conscious is the best translation that I like. By Sayyid Ali Quli Qara'i. So Allah, the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes about them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alladina yu'minuna bil ghaib, the ones who believe in the unseen. And we have this whole unseen world we do not have access to sometimes directly. We do have access to it through the messenger, through the prophets and the imams alayhimus salam. And to believe, one of the signs of believers is that they have the belief in the unseen world. So we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is unseen, so many angels, the largest creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in numbers. So that is the largest number of the creation of Allah are not fish, are not any animals, are angels. There are billions and billions of angels. We have billions of stars and I don't know. The beginning of the whole galaxy and this universe. However, the largest creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are angels. There are so many angels in this world. And so they're all unseen. There are so many angels around us in this world. We do not see them. And so yu'minuna bil ghaib. So there are many, many things that all of the 14 infallibles share, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the manifestation of his attributes, because his essence does not have a manifestation, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not manifest in two things or in front of things with his essence, because his essence, his dhaat, his wujud basically cannot be perceived, and it is beyond our comprehension. But now his attributes, his sifat. So the infallibles, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Imam Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, Hazrat Fatima salam, they're all manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, about his ilm, his qudrat, his hayat, so different attributes. Now, one of the attributes of Allah is ghaibul ghuyub. He is the ghaib, he's the unseen of all the unseen things and beings. And the manifestation of that sign is Sahib al-Zaman, Imam al-Zamana, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala. And hence, we have to realize that he is as reality. He is living, he is present, and therefore we must believe in him. Now, many Christians or Muslims may ask question, do you believe in an Imam who is unseen, who cannot be reached, cannot be seen? Then they have similar beliefs about Jesus, cannot be seen, is alive. People with long lives in the Holy Quran are many. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, the Holy Quran says he lived, he preached for 1,000 years minus 50, which is 950. Why did he say 1,000 minus 50? He did not say 950. And so there is a whole, many people argue why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said it that way. So I don't want to go into that. So there are so many prophets and messengers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Holy Quran who have lived for a long time, who had long lives. Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam, Hazrat Ilyas, they're still alive. Hazrat Khidr is still on earth. He hasn't been mentioned by his name in the Holy Quran, but the Imams alayhi salam have said that our servant Abdul Salih, Musa alayhi salam, went to learn from him. Anyway, so رَفَعْنَاهُ مَقَانًا عَلِيًّا. Hazrat Idris alayhi salam is still alive, like Jesus, he's been raised to the heavens. But on earth, with Imam Zamana, Ashab Kahf, and so many other beings that will return with the return of Sahib Zaman. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this bounty. This is the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have faith in Iman, in ghaib, in the unseen world. Now, the unseen are many. I don't want to go into those. But one of the unseens is the Imam of our time. So there are two early beliefs. One of Sheikh Sadqa'to, who emphasizes a lot that the Imam is invisible. And the others who believe that no, he is not necessarily invisible, but he cannot be recognized. So you may see him, but he's not invisible, but you do not recognize that this is Imam, just like the brothers of Yusuf. They saw him, but they did not recognize him, that this is Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, the contemporary ulama mainly believe that no, he has the power to show himself to whoever he wants, and he can be invisible or he can be seen. So both, he has the power for both. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't made him invisible, that you can't see him at all, but he can be invisible. So therefore, it is a great blessing that we have this faith. In the end of times, and there will be many problems, but inshallah, I'll come to that in the end. Now, so this verse that I've chosen, I want to very quickly, this is from Surah Isra, Surah Bani Israel as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about Bani Israel, or the Israelites, or the Jews, that Allah blessed them with so many things, and amongst the things that he said, Moses was sent and he guided them. And then he says that at the end, when he tells the whole story about Moses and about Bani Israel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always gives in every story a message which is general, which applies to everyone. So he may tell you a story, but he tells them not as historical events, but as lessons. And there are lessons and messages which are universal, which are general, which are universal. That's I think better word. Now, when he talks about Bani Israel, he says, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. That, and what we really intend is to give the power on earth, and who were weakened on earth, meaning the people who were mazloom, who were oppressed. وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And we will make them the Imams. A'imma is the plural of Imam. So, وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. We will make them the Imams or the leaders. وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And we will also make them the inheritors of the earth. They will inherit the earth, meaning they will rule the earth. So the government of Sahabu Zaman al-Islam and the godly people has been promised in the Holy Quran throughout. Now, many people say, what are the verses that talk about Imam Zaman al-Islam? I'll quickly mention another verse. This verse is in Surah Anbiya, Surah number 21, towards the end of the Surah. There's a verse in the Holy Quran that says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَقَدْ كَتَبْنَا فِي الزَّبُورِ مِنْ بَعْدِ الذِّكْرِ أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ يَرِثُهَا عِبَادِيَ الصَّالِحُونَ. And we have written in Zabur, in the Psalms of David, after writing this in Zikr, Torah. Zikr here is Torah, although the Holy Prophet has been called Zikr, the Holy Quran has been called Zikr. Zikr is reminder, meaning message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reminder. Literally means reminder. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because Torah came before, that indeed the entire earth will be inherited by the Salihin people. Al-Ard, Alif Lam come for many reasons. One of them is to make it Ma'rifah, the book. And sometimes it comes for Istighraq, entirety. For example, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. You don't say the praises for Allah. You say all. You say all praises. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. All praises for the Lord, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the universe. So here the word al. So annal arda, the entire earth. Annal arda yarithuha ibadiy salihun, will be inherited. The entire earth will be inherited by ibadiy salihun, by my salihin, by my pious people. And in namaz you say assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Straight after you salute the Holy Prophet, you say the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt that you're sending salutations to, and therefore there will come a day when they will rule. All of the Imams have said the entire earth will be inherited by pious, by the good, and those good will be the ones who deserve salutations of Allah. So it is important that we all realize. All the people who can't hear, when you click the screen, there comes a microphone on the side. So if you touch it, and then that's for mute, and then on the top there is a speaker. If you touch it, then it turns on the sound. Okay. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with so many things. And one of them is the blessing of an Imam who guides us. Who guides us even when he is in occultation, he is in ghaibat. Now, many people say, how does he guide us? He is in ghaibat. So he doesn't directly guide you. How does shaitan misguide you? He whispers. يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. He misguides you by putting things into your heart. How can the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not guide you while he is in occultation, while he's unseen? So even though Imam Zaman al-Islam is not seen, he is unseen, but he still can guide you. He has the power, because if Satan has the power to misguide, and the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Khalifatullah or Hujjatullah, the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has the power to guide you. Now, so we believe in this Imam alayhi salam, and there are many, many verses in the Holy Quran that talk about because I've been given the topic to talk about the government that the Imam alayhi salam will form. Now, many Imams and all prophets have given the information about the prophets to come after them, and especially the last messenger, and about the Ahlul Bayt, the members of the family, the holy household of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, especially the 12th Imam, and in Karbala as well, and all of the Imams, but especially about the last messenger, they all said, yes, they will come after me. Hazrat Adam said, there'll come tough times, and then Nuh will come, and then a last messenger will come. Hazrat Nuh said, tough times will come, and then Allah will send Ibrahim, but a last messenger, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, Rabbana wa ba'ath fihim rasulan minhum yatlu alayhim ayati. So all of the verses and the glad tidings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they all gave glad tidings about the coming of the last messenger. And the last messenger, all the prophets talk about the last messenger and his household, and the last messenger himself said, I will have 12 successors, and my last successor will fill the earth with peace and justice, like it will be filled before him with injustice and oppression. Now, this hadith is mentioned in all Shia Sunni books. There is a book called Muntakhabul Athar fil Hujjat al-Thani Ashar by Atila Safiqul Pagani, who has turned 100 years of age this year. He's 101 this year. In this month, he's 101. He was born in 1919. He has a book called, he's over 100 books, probably more than 200 books. I have quite a lot of his books. And one of his books is Muntakhabul Athar. I think Jamal Muntazir in Urdu, in Farsi, and also I think it has been translated into English as well, about the 12th Imam alayhi salam. And in that, he mentions how many times this hadith has been mentioned by how many writers and how many chains of narration, how many chains of reports, chains of transmission. Now, one of the hadiths that he reports, he says that Al-Mahdi min Wuldi Fatima. All Shia Sunnis have mentioned that the Prophet Imam al-Islam will be from the progeny of Hazrat Fatima. And this hadith has been mentioned 119 times, 119 times in the books of our Sunni brothers. It has appeared so many times. So, meaning the original sources I'm talking about, not all the sources. All the sources will be many more. We're talking about the hadith, the traditional sources, the sources of hadith of our Sunni brothers from olden times till the all the major compilations of hadith. Now, can you imagine that this Imam alayhi salam who will be coming, he will be filling the earth with justice, peace and justice, like it is filled with injustice and oppression. So this government, how will it be like? Before I continue, the one or two of the verses very quickly I want to mention about the existence that he is here. Allama Tabatabai, Sahabi al-Mizan, the one who wrote Tafsir of al-Mizan, was asked, which verse in the Holy Quran is the biggest proof on the existence of Imam al-Zaman Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraja? And he said, the verse from Surah Qadr. Surah Qadr, which talks about Laylatul Qadr. So that surah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Tanazzalul malaikatu war-ruhu fiha bi-idhni rabbihim min kulli amr. Indeed, in that night, the angels, malaika and ruh, the angels and the Holy Spirit come onto earth. Tanazzalul malaikatu. Come. No one has read it Tanazzalal malaikatu. Everyone has read Tanazzalul malaikatu. All the Qur'an, all Shia Sunni Qaris. That if they had read Tanazzalal malaikatu, that would have meant past tense, that the angels and the Holy Spirit came onto the Holy Prophet once, or they came. But no, they all say Tanazzalul malaikatu. What it means is that the angels and ruh come, which is present continuous. We don't do grammar in the British and American schools anymore, but if you did any grammar, then it would mean, and the present continuous, that even whenever Laylatul Qadr, even whenever the grand night comes, even now, whenever the night comes, the grand night comes, the angels and the Holy Spirit still come onto earth with the permission of the Lord. Min kulli amr, and they bring every affair, every amr, every command onto earth. What is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحَ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. The Holy Quran says, and they ask you about the spirit, about the soul, the human soul. Say to them that the ruh itself is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the ruh is a command, and the angels are bringing every command. So the command about whose ruh will be leaving, whose ruh will be coming is also a command. Rizq is command. Fiha yufraqu kullu amrin hakim. In Surah Dukhan it says every command will be distributed in that night, in the special night. So there is someone with the command, which is called, with the command is Ulil Amr. And that's why we call the 12 Imams Ulil Amr. Our Muslim brothers, like Sunni brothers, they say that anyone who is in government is Ulil Amr. We say, no, not everyone in government is Ulil Amr, because the angels would not come onto them. So not everyone in government, but anyone who is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has been selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are Ulil Amr. They are the ones with authority or with the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are the ones onto whom the angels and the Holy Spirit come onto, and they are the ones who get the commands from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the whole of the year and have a special relationship and special connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in Surah Hud, there is another verse that Baqiyatullahi khairul lakum in kuntum mu'minin, the one that Allah has made to remain, Baqiyatullah. And this is the only, this is a title only for the 12th Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the title only for the 12th Imam. Baqiyatullah khairul lakum in kuntum mu'minin. The one who Allah has made to remain, Allah has saved, is good for you. In kuntum mu'minin, if you are believers. So he's going to come, and so he still is there. So we've given ayats from the Holy Quran that indicate that he is still here. He's in occultation. So he's here. يَوْمَ نَدْعُو كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. This is another verse from the Holy Quran, that on the day we will call every people by the Imam of their time. يَوْمَ نَدْعُو كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ, Imam or their Imam. So in every era there is an Imam. And therefore, the Imam of our era is Imam Sahib al-Zaman, and we will be resurrected with him, and we will be called, where are the followers or the people from the time of the 12th Imam? So we will be then called. So that's how. Now, very quickly, I want to go into some of the signs and some of the things that will happen, the events that will happen. So there are many traditions in the books of Hadith, and there are many books that I have been going through over the past few days to freshen my mind about the events of Akhir al-Zaman, what will be happening. I have a whole encyclopedia on the 12th Imam alayhi salam, many different books, 30-40 books, and there is this book, Al-Malahim wal-Fitan, if you can read the name, Mu'jam al-Malahim wal-Fitan. So basically it is a set which is basically an encyclopedia on the events that will happen, the battles and the wars and the mischief and all the things that will happen before the Imam al-Islam comes, after the Holy Prophet, before the Imam comes. So these are just signs of reappearance, 4 volumes. And then Bihar al-Anwar, which is 110 volumes, but this one is volume number 52. Volume number 52 of Bihar al-Anwar, which talks about the signs of reappearance. And there are many signs where the Imam alayhi salam has described what will happen. So Imam Baqir alayhi salam says in one of the signs, he says that La Buddha min hadain sawtain, there will be 2 screams from the heavens in the month of Ramadan, 23rd or Laylatul Qadr, before the 12th Imam al-Islam comes. Sawtu min as-sama'i wa huwa sawtu Jibreel. One will come from the heavens. That will be the scream or the sound or the announcement. That will be the announcement that everyone will hear, and that will be from Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel, the archangel Jibreel. وَصَوْتُ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ, and there will be one sound or the one announcement from earth. وَهُوَ صَوْتُ إِبْلِيسَ اللَّعِينَ, and that will be from Iblis. from Shaitan, Satan. Yunadi bi-ismi fulan. He will call with the name of so and so. Many hadiths mention that they will call Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam will at the night say Ali wa Shi'atuhu. Ali and his Shias are on the righteous, and so the Mahdi is to come. So the Imam alayhi salam will come on the Ashura after that announcement. But Shaitan in the morning will say Uthman. Uthman will be the name of Sufyani, a person from the progeny of Abu Sufyan will come. His name will be Uthman. And he will rise from Wadi Yabis, a valley which is dry valley near Damascus, and he will take over Homs and then Halab, Aleppo, and then he will attack Damascus and take over Syria, and then he will attack Iraq. So he will say that if Satan will say that he is the righteous. Anyway, now I don't want to read through all the signs. I'm just going to read through one short hadith. So he also said, لا يقوم القائم إلا على خوف شديد من الناس. The 12th Imam al-Islam will not rise until the people have severe fear. So they'll be under enormous fear. So there'll be people will be fearing because of what? There'll be many incidents that will take place before. So there'll be many pandemics before the Imam al-Salam comes. Not just one, a series of pandemics. And then a series of wars will happen. What else will happen? Wasalazil, many earthquakes, major earthquakes. And I was reading through hadith by Imam Ali al-Salam where he said, in Damascus and outside Damascus, there'll be a major earthquake that will probably kill up to 200,000 people. There'll be major mischiefs and problems, yusibun-nas, that the people will be conflicted with. So they will be afflicted with many problems. And before all of those, there will be plague, a major plague that will kill. So in some hadith say that plague will kill a third of the world's population. So that these are signs. And there'll be a lot of wars and battles between the Arabs themselves. People will have huge amount of dispute. And there'll be a lot of quarrel and dispute in religion, meaning a lot of the people. So there'll be many groups, splinters. There'll be many splits within the religious people. A lot of the people will go through so many difficulties and different states. So there'll be ups and downs, many ups and downs. That people will wish for death day and night. I don't want to scare you or anything, but so we should be mentally prepared and strong that there'll be many problems. Obviously, this is general situation, not with the mu'minin, because mu'minin will be strong with their prayers, with fasting, with du'as, with Quran, with tasbih, with tawassul, with Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So they will have less. وَمِنْ عَظْمٍ مَنْ يَرَى مِنْ كَلْبِ النَّاسِ. A lot of the people will see the animal side of the human beings, and people may even eat. In some places, people will eat each other or kill each other. This may mean they will kill each other. Some may say that no, this is a literal meaning. Well, we don't know, but so there'll be خروجه الإسلام إذا خرج يكون عند اليأس والقنوط من أن يروا فرجا. So people will be a lot of hopelessness and many problems, and people will be hopeless of the Imam al-Islam coming, or probably he's not coming. So there are many signs, and amongst the signs is that when he comes, alayhi he will establish peace and justice on earth. Now, there are major signs and minor signs. These are all minor signs, but there are some major signs. Very quickly, I want to mention. So there'll be many problems on earth, and a lot of fear, economical problems, there'll be wars, there'll be pandemics, earthquakes, many problems. But there are 5 major signs. The 5 major signs are the coming of Sufyani. So these are called hatmi, min al-mahtum, the hatmi signs of the coming of the Imam alayhi salam. So min al-mahtum, the coming of Sufyan. Sufyani is, like I said, Uthman ibn Ambasa. His father's name may be Ambasa. Some say because Abu Sufyan had 5 sons, Muawiyah, Yazid. Muawiyah's son was also Yazid. His brother's name was also Yazid. So Ambasa was known as Ainaya. So he had one of the brothers of Muawiyah and one of the sons of Abu Sufyan was Ambasa. And some say so he'll be from progeny of Ambasa, this last Sufyani or the Sufyani that will come, because Abu Sufyan opposed the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Muawiyah opposed Imam Ali ﷺ, Yazid opposed Imam Hussein. And the hadith says that, this is the hadith of 6th Imam, that Abu Sufyan opposed the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Muawiyah opposed Imam Ali ﷺ, Yazid opposed Imam Hussein ﷺ, and their last Sufyani will oppose our last Imam Mahdi ﷺ. So there are all of these hadiths that mention Sufyani. So some say that he's from Ambasa, Abu Sufyan's son Ambasa. But we do have tradition from Imam Ali ﷺ where he writes a letter to Muawiyah and he says that, O Muawiyah, you will have a son, meaning from your progeny a man will come who will be very hard-hearted, who will have no fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will not be God conscious. He will be very, he will rip at the livers of the people. So he said all of those things. Said from your progeny, he will fight my son Mahdi. So this hadith specifies that no, that the Sufyani will be from the progeny of Muawiyah. He will be from the lineage of Muawiyah himself and not his brother. So anyway, so nevertheless, so Sufyani will surely come. So there will be surely a man called Sufyani who will come in the end of times, who will fight the 12th Imam. So he will basically appear in the month of Rajab. And by Imam Baqir Islam, there are hadiths, and Imam Sadqa'to Islam, they say that he will come in questions, but not now. I will be doing a lot more, and then at the end you can ask questions. I still have time, I think another probably 20-30 minutes. I don't know if the brothers allow me, then I will go till another 20 minutes, and then you can ask questions for half an hour or something like that at the end. So Sufyani will come, and Sufyani will come from Syria. He'll be a very hard-hearted person, and many people say that Daesh or ISIS are Sufyani's people. A lot of the Shias made a mistake. No, because their leader is Abu Bakr Baghdadi. Sufyani will be, and their flags are black. Sufyani will have a red flag, and his name will be Uthman and not Abu Bakr Baghdadi. So basically, we must not jump to conclusions. I'm not saying that the time is coming, and therefore we must not say, okay, this is the time, and there's a pandemic in the world, and the Imam is coming. And then when the Imam doesn't come, a lot of the people become hopeless and they leave faith. So don't do that. So don't say that, okay, this is the time. We don't know for sure when the time of the coming of the Imam is. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the time of the coming, but we should discuss the signs, but we cannot imply that these are the signs. And we cannot say that the Imam will be coming in 2-3 years or 100 years. He will not, we don't know. This is Allah's decision when he sends the Imam . So Imam will come in a time when there will be a lot of hopelessness, but there will be 3 people who will come. 3 people in the month of Rajab. In the month of Rajab, 3 people will come. One of them is Sufyan. So he is a bad guy. He will come and he will attack Homs, the small city, and then Halab, Aleppo, the big city, and then Damascus. He will take over. He will destroy the harams of the Imam, like the holy people. And then he will attack Iraq. He will have an army, and he will say that I want to destroy the haram of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And that's so. But before him will come Khorasani, Syed Khorasani. A Syed will come from Khorasan. Khorasan is where Mashhad is. Mashhad is a town, and the whole state, even parts of it are in Afghanistan at the moment. So Khorasan is a huge area that a lot of it is in Iran. but parts of it are in Afghanistan now. Khorasan, Khorasan-e-Sharqi as it is called. The eastern Khorasan is in Afghanistan, western Khorasan is in Iran, and Mashhad is also in Khorasan. So a man will rise, a Sayyid will rise, who will be young from Mashhad. And some hadiths I was reading that even mentioned that he will come 5 years before Sufyani. So Sufyani will rise in the month of Rajab. But Khorasani will be known to the people. He'll be a young man. He will be an alim, a Sayyid. His not necessarily young, but his army chief will be Shu'aib bin Saleh, Shu'aib, and he will rise. And they will be basically preparing, and things will happen, but they will rise at the same time. Hadith say that 3 people will rise in the same year, same month, and some hadiths mention the same day. Who are the 3 people? So Sufyani, the bad guy, Khorasani, Sayyid from Khorasan, he will rise from Iran. And the 3rd guy is Yamani, from Yemen. Yemeni or Yamani, because in Arabic they say Yamani, in Farsi and Urdu say Yemeni. So a man will come from Yemen, and he will be very good. And the most guided, and the best flag bearer will be Yamani. So Khorasani's flag will be black. He will rise with black flags, and he will rise from Khorasan. And Yamani will rise from Yemen. Some say that he may have white flags, but Sufyani will have red flag, and he will rise from. So they will all rise around the same time. So we will know that this is not. So these are one of the major signs. So the major sign means this is the last year before the Imam al-Islam is coming. So this is the last year of the signs. I'm not saying this is the last year before the Imam al-Islam comes. So the last year of before the Imam al-Islam comes. So there'll be many major signs. One of them is the rising of Sufyani. Second is a sayha, a scream from the paradise. You will hear from the heavens, you will hear a scream of Jibreel alayhi salam, and that Ali and his Shias are truth, and your Mahdi alayhi salam is coming. So you'll all understand. And the Imams have said, always follow the first announcement. So the next day, Shaitan will announce. The 3rd sign is Khasf-e Baida. Baida is a place between Makkah and Medina, a small town, a small village. Now it's not even a big town. So it's a village now, and there will be a landslide where basically the earth will swallow the whole of army of Sufyani, who will send army to destroy the Haram of the Prophet and then go and kill Imam Sahib Islam. So therefore there will be a landslide. Anyway, now one of the major signs is Qatl Nafs Zakiyya. So I have mentioned a few major signs. One of them is Qatl Nafs Zakiyya. Around 24th of Zul-Hijjah, so basically 15 days before, about 2 weeks before the Ashura, when the Imam al-Islam will be coming, there will be an assassination, a murder inside Kaaba. So while doing tawaf, ben al-Rukn wal-Maqam, Rukn Yamani and Maqam Ibrahim, while doing tawaf, a young person will be assassinated. A Sayyid, again, Nafs Zakiyya, so he's called a Nafs Zakiyya, meaning he'll be a pure soul. Nafs Zakiyya means a pure soul, meaning a Sayyid who is a known figure in the time. He'll be a known figure. So he will be assassinated inside Kaaba. They will murder him. And that's a major sign. So that's a major, major sign. So the things will happen, but there'll be many, many minor signs before the coming of the Imam al-Islam, and amongst them are the spread of many, many problems on earth. Now, after the Imam al-Islam comes, I don't want to go too much into the signs of the reappearance, but when the Imam al-Islam comes, he will appear on the day of Ashura, and he will come from Mecca, where Kaaba is. People will do his bay'at. 313, you all heard. So they've been mentioned from different countries, and many of them will be from Taliqan. So some people say this is the small town near Qazvin, between Qazvin and Tehran. Some 24 members will be from there. Some hadiths mention more or less 18 or 24 people from, so in one hadith from from Taliqan, and there'll be 10. Some hadith mention even 38 from Qom. So these are the highest number. From these two times will be the best, out of the 330. The rest, one or two, one, generally just one, and some places two. So like that all over the. Now, when they reappear, these will be very important people who will basically take up big positions when the Imam al-Islam forms a government, and he'll have an army of between 10 to 12,000 people, soldiers, and that will live with him from Mecca to Medina. I don't want to go too much into the events that will happen after, but because the government, I was asked to talk about the government of the 12th Imam al-Islam. So he will come to Medina. He will appoint a governor from Mecca. And some hadith mention that his governor, even after he establishes, will be assassinated by other people. People will oppose. Imam is not going to come and kill. There will be a lot of killing and wars and fights and mischief will be happening before him. He's coming to settle things down. But because there will be so many wars and battles going on before the Imam comes, a lot of the people will not give in. They will not surrender. They will not believe in him. So he'll be fighting to establish that peace and justice. So he may have to fight the people to establish peace and justice. But there are traditions that say that before Sufyani comes, in Syria, there'll be a battle between the Iranians and the Romans, or the white people and the Iranians, for 12 years. Some hadiths mention 18. Now, obviously, the difference, when one hadith says 12 years, or one hadith says 18, the difference of the words or numbers of years is not from the Imam al-Islam. It is the people who were listening. And when they came out, one said the Imam said 12, the other one said no, he said 18. So the people who are reporting them, they are reporting from these people who are listening from the Imam al-Islam, and sometimes they make mistakes. So the mistake is not from the Imam al-Islam. So one Imam is saying 12 and the other one is saying 18. It is the person who is reporting it. So one of them said for 12 years, the other one said for 18 years, a war will happen between Romans, it says, Europeans, or whatever you want to say, the white people and the Iranians, it says clearly, or the Fars. So at the moment, many people are saying that this is now going on in Syria. It has gone on in March, 10 years have completed. I cannot say it for certain. So a lot of the people try and imply, do not imply those conditions. We cannot apply the words of hadith and say, okay, this is that event. Sometimes it is very clear and sometimes it's not clear. Now, before the coming of Sufyani, so a very hard-hearted, I don't know, Takfiri, a Daesh person will come similar to Daesh. His name is Sufyani, but he will come, and his coming is the final coming, and the Imam al-Islam will come very soon after he comes. So there will happen many events before that. An earthquake, major earthquake will happen, many wars in Syria, wars in Iraq, in Iran, in Yemen, in Hijaz, like Saudi Arabia today, they call it, Najd. So they'll be disputing the ruling family, the royal family. They'll have a lot of disputes amongst them. They'll be killing each other, fighting each other. And the final king will be Abdullah, who will be killed around just before Hajj. Anyway, Misr, Egypt will have problems, and they'll have risings and fights. Marrakesh, Morocco will have problems. And, so North Africa will have a lot of problems. So Palestine, many of the world will be going through problems, and those are mentioned. But the Imam al-Islam, when he comes, he will first go from Mecca to Medina, and he will rebuild the tombs of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and the Ahlul Bayt ﷺ. And so there are a lot of details in there. And then he rebuilds and he returns. When he is in Mecca, he will return everything to its own original position. Because at the moment, there's a lot of building work going on in Mecca, where they are removing things from their position and moving them out to make things bigger. So Imam al-Islam will bring everything back. For example, Safa, Marwa, Hajr Aswad, and Maqam Ibrahim, they will all be put back into their original places, the hadith says. And when it comes to Medina, he will rebuild the tombs of the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam and the holy household, the hadith says. So 100 years ago, people could not understand this, because in 1925 or 1926, when they destroyed the harams of the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam in Jannat al-Baqi, before that, no one knew that this will happen. But the hadith was still there in the books, in all the books, that the Imam al-Islam will rebuild the tombs of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam, the Fatima Zahra and the 4 Imams. Anyway, so, and then he will invite the people in Medina to ask questions and debate him, so he can answer their concerns and any questions that may have, and not to oppose him. And for 3 days, he will answer all the questions and he will answer the queries of the people. He will, so a lot of the disbelievers, a lot of the people opposing him will surrender and start to believe in him. But again, still many people will not believe in him and will oppose him. So anyway, he will then make his way to Karbala, because the Khorasani and what's his name, Sufyani will be fighting each other, because Sufyani will have come to Karbala to destroy the Haram of Muhammad, and Khorasani will be stopping him, and they will be fighting each other near Karbala. And the Imam will come, and then it should be probably, because he reappears on Ashura, by the time he probably comes to Karbala will be probably around Ba'in time. And then the Imam goes to Kufa, and he establishes his capital. So his capital will be Kufa, and he will lead the prayers in Masjid Kufa, and his house will be in Masjid Sahla. He'll build his house, and he will establish everything, and then there'll be different pacts, and he will go to Quds as well, to Jerusalem, and there will be a pact between him and the Europeans for 7 years not to fight. Meanwhile, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam will come when he arrives in Quds. Jesus will come, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam, peace be upon him, and he will pray behind him, Hazrat Imam Zamana Ajallah Ta'ala Faraja. And a lot of the Europeans will convert and start to believe because of Jesus. And a pact will happen, and the Europeans will still be making plans, but their people will revolt against them, because the Europeans will probably convert by that time. Now, so there is a whole process that the Imam will go through, going to different countries, not all different countries, but he will visit many parts, and he will travel. So there's a whole plan for his travel. So then he comes to Syria, goes back to Iraq, but there'll be many issues. I don't want to go into the number of wars before him that will happen. So some hadiths mention probably the Turks and the Europeans may go to war. So there'll be major wars to happen before the Imam Islam comes. Now the Imam Islam will go to Iran as well, and probably to other parts. Now, so there's a whole plan that the Imam Islam will execute when he comes, and the entire world will come under one establishment. So one of the things that people talk about is the government of the Imam Islam, but there are so many other things of the Imam Islam that we are unaware of. So it is, the government will be established within a few years of the coming, but then will come the age of knowledge, the age where the ratio of knowledge from 2, everything people will have discovered before the Imam will be 2, and everything he introduces to the people will be 27. So the ratio of knowledge will be 2 to 27, because there are 27 alphabetical letters in Arabic. So the Imams have used the term that 2 will be introduced before him. Everything so far you've learned from the prophets and the Imams is only 2, and what he will teach will be 27. He will complete this world with knowledge, and there'll be connection with the, I don't know, you want to call them aliens. They'll be outside the world, and people on earth. There'll be a rain before, just before the arrival of the Imam Islam for so many days, that all the people who believe in him will release themselves of all illnesses, ailments, and there will be no illnesses people will not have, his believers, and the earth will give all the treasures, meaning it will return back to producing. So there'll be a good rain, because before it, because of the wars and so many things happening, the earth will not be producing like it was producing before those incidents. So then, so there's a whole dynamic after everything settles down. People will have long lives, and the establishment of the government, the just government, where people will not steal, and where people, people will want to give their homes or their charity, and there will be no one to take the charity. So how the whole world will be running onto a new system. And yes, the hadith mentioned, for example, that he will rule for 19 or 40 or I don't know years, but but those one day will be equal to like a few years before him. So like 3 years, one day will be equal to 3 years. So meaning he will have a long rule, and the Imams one after the others will come, which I don't want to go into now, which is called Raja'at, which is not reincarnation, it is a return. Anyway, so the Imam of Islam will teach some of the things that the people are confused about. Everything will become apparent, and the age of science and knowledge will be the age of Sahaba Zaman alayhi salam. Once he's established, everything is in peace and quiet, that the whole world will be free for anyone to move, rotate, and people will travel and explore the earth, and the knowledge they will gain, and people will have long lives. So and that's why everyone should pray for the coming of the Imam of Islam. And he's the way we sometimes describe that people don't want to see that time. No, because there'll be problems before him. He will come to relieve. That's why it's Muhajjil Farajam. Allah relieve us with the coming of the Imam alayhi salam. There'll be inflictions and problems and tyranny before the Imam, pandemics and wars. But when the Imam comes, he will settle everything down. He will come to stop everything. He may have to fight because many people will confront him and will have hurdles, but he's not coming to fight, but to come and establish peace and justice and to restore peace on earth and the knowledge and development. So much we will learn in the field of research and development and knowledge that we will not have any of that beforehand. We will not have even a fraction of it before the coming of the Imam of Islam, because then the doors of knowledge will truly open. So we should all pray for his coming. We will give you half an hour to ask questions. So now you can have. Sorry, I didn't see the question went away quickly. So if you can just start reading questions and then I'll answer. So you have half an hour for questions. Okay, the signs of the coming of the Imam alayhi salam does not imply that Allah has already imposed. No, it is already in Allah's knowledge. Not that he will impose that, okay, this person has to kill them. No, it is in Allah's knowledge. And because the Imams have access to Allah's knowledge, then he allows Imams to see what will happen. So it is not that he's imposing upon people. He did not impose upon Yazid to kill Imam Hussain, otherwise there's no punishment because Allah forced him to kill. No, it is that it is in his knowledge. Knowing something and imposing are two different things. He was not imposing on people. So he knows, Allah knows the signs, and the Imams have said the signs. It does not mean that Allah will force the people to do those things, impose it upon them. No, he knows. It is in his knowledge. Like a teacher says in the class, these two students will fail. Not that I will force them to fail, but because they don't seem to be working. So there are many, many different 313 predestined. It is not necessarily predestined, but those 313 are very pious people, very hardworking people, and so there are some, so there'll be similar names to the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam from their knowledge. For example, the Imam al-Islam says, I see the wall of Masjid al-Kufa dropping, meaning the back end wall of Masjid al-Kufa, where the door or the house of Hazrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was. So he looks at those things, not that he's saying that those people are predestined, but there are people who will work. So there may be so many people with the name Ali Raza. And it doesn't mean that they all will be the same. So many are practicing, many are sinful like me. So they're all a wake-up for us to prepare. We should all prepare at all times. I think this pandemic is a wake-up call and to change our lives for betterment. Can someone read the questions? Because, there are so many questions coming in, I can't even. So shall I, because I'm following through my phone. Everyone who has an ability, now, everyone has abilities. Like a person said that I'm a software engineer. So any ability, anyone basically in any field, you should serve your own. You should work, you should have a job, but you should learn your obligation and you should refrain from haram. And whatever you can do in your own capacity, try and do that to fulfill your duty towards the Imam of your time. So there is nothing new he wants from you. All he wants is just that you fulfill your own obligations. You pray, you fast, you give charity, and you respect your parents, your brothers and sisters, you love them, and your neighbors, and don't tell lies, don't drink, don't to remain alive or come back to Imam Zamana. So are they predestined? Not necessarily. Okay, I'm going to try and...
Maulana, I can read the questions to you if you'd like.
Please, if you can read the question, because there are so many at the same time. I can't...
No, I'll read them to you. Go ahead. So the last question that you were just reading is, are the 313 predestined?
Okay, so the 313 are not predestined. Can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, so they're not predestined. So even if the names, for example, they will not know that I am until and unless they work so hard and that they build the connection because of their piety. Not that Allah has chosen, for example, Ali Raza Rizvi and the others cannot become. No, anyone who becomes very pious, and so that's why some other people say that you don't know the name and you shouldn't say the name, but you have to do so much to become. And one of the Mahdi recently was giving a speech on those 313. He described their stature by, like each one of them will have 1,000 names of Allah, like Joshna Kabir has 1,000 names. So they will have enormous spiritual powers. They will be so pious and humble. So you'll be able to see that this is a very different person from everyone else.
Next one is the signs of reappearance implies that Allah has already planned what will happen in the end of times before Imam Mahdi ﷺ reappears. Then do humans have free will?
Okay, it's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge. There are two things: that I plan things or I have knowledge of things. So it is not that he has made a plot, okay, this is what will happen, Hussein will be taken to Karbala. No. So I've already answered this question. It is only in Allah's knowledge. Knowing and planning and doing something, executing something, intending something and doing it are two different things.
Is it possible to remain alive or come back alive in the Imam Zamana's time?
So if you read Dua Ahad, the covenant with the Prophet Muhammad for 40 mornings every after Fajr for 40 days, then inshallah you will live till the Imam al-Islam's time, or even if you die, then you will come back alive to witness Imam al-Islam's covenant.
Can Sufyani be traced? Do we have anything about the lineage of Yazid? And two, when you say he will come from Kaaba, does that imply that he could be living in Makkah, Medina, assuming that one of the explanations of Ghaibat Alims gave?
Okay, Sufyani Imam Zamana al-Islam will come from Makkah. Sufyani will come from Syria. So he could be traced, but it is difficult to say that because we don't know. There are so many bad people sometimes. There are so many good people. So you cannot say, okay, this good man is one of the 313. There are very good people. And this really evil person, Saddam, for example, he died. So you could say, oh, he looks like Sufyan. So many people said that he's the, his lineage goes back to Marwan or, Abu Sufyan or, Banu Umayyah. So not necessarily. So when he comes, we will know for sure that this is Sufyani when he forms his government.
Okay. Next one is, I hope you're well, Maulana, keep safe. I assume you've received this question a lot, but I'm curious nonetheless. Will the time of Imam consist amidst a lack of technology, such as pre-technology days, or will his time consist of technology as we have in today's world?
Walaikum assalam, thank you very much. It is difficult to say, when I have now, the sun will rise from the west, meaning they are waiting for the excess to change. And then suddenly we'll wake up and, the sun will be rising from the west. And technology, Einstein was asked, you've seen the Second World War, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, where atomic bombs were dropped and, so much happened. Can you describe to us what do you think as the biggest scientist in your time? How will the Third World War look like? And he said, I cannot describe the Third World War, but I can describe the Fourth World War for you. So they said, how can you describe the Fourth World War when you can't even describe the third? He said, well, because the human beings will excel so much that I cannot imagine how much they will excel. So they will use so many sophisticated weapons. He didn't use the word nuclear weapons, but that I cannot imagine. and they will destroy everything in the Third World War. That the Fourth World War, I can describe that they will go back to Stone Ages. They will be hitting each other with bricks and with sticks. So we may go back. I cannot say that for certain. I cannot say that for certain, but we may go back to times when we have lost technology, but everything may have to be redeveloped. And the Imam al-Islam will redevelop into a phase that we have never seen. But if even technology still remains, it will be so sophisticated in the Imam al-Islam's time that we cannot imagine.
So this one is from YouTube. It says, how many companions are going to be with Imam Zamana and Jesus, peace be upon them?
How many companions? So there'll be thousands of people in his army. There'll be, a third of the world will remain. And a lot of those people will be believers, and a lot of those, majority of those will be followers, and they will believe. So they will have millions of followers and companions, or people who will believe them. So we will all have access, inshallah, to visit them, inshallah.
Can you please tell us the tafsir of Quran? Whom tafsir is easy and good to understand the Quran according to Ahlul Bayt? And second, I have a book written by Nawab Haidar Abdi. Are these books okay?
Okay, tafsir, Al-Mizan as a translation is a bit difficult. It has a lot of philosophy in it, but it is still very good. And the enlightening tafsir of the Holy Quran, a commentary of the Holy Quran, enlightening commentary of the Holy Quran by Mahdi Faqih is also simple and easy and good. In English, Mir Ahmad Ali's, is a small commentary, but it is good. So there are many now coming into English, and many people are translating and even writing their own tafsir. Nawab Haidar Abdi, I don't know which Nawab Haidar Abdi are you referring to, and what is this book's name?
So I'll keep going then. Salam Maulana. There may be many people that claim to be Mahdi. How can we recognize the real Imam Mahdi when he arrives?
There are many false claims even today. You can easily tell. I am so amazed at some of the people who are following these guys in Iraq, in Iran, Pakistan. I went to Australia and I found some people following this guy who claimed that there will be 12 Mahdis after Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And I'm the first one of those 12. I'm from, so I thought he's going to claim that he is from, like 1,000 years between him and Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So this guy was, believed in him, and he was preaching for him, and he came to convince me, and I said, okay, fine. Give me the reasons and everything. So he said, oh, this guy. So he showed me his book. I said, this guy, look at the books of some of our ulama. They write better than him. How would you follow someone who doesn't even have intellect and knowledge? So this guy was proving. He said, I said, how many? Imam Islam. So he said 5. I said, if it was like 15, 20, it'll be difficult to trace. But if you trace back the 5 generations of this guy, you will know his family members. He's from Iraq. So then, he ran away from Iraq. And unfortunately, you will be very naive to believe in the false claim. I've seen so many false claims. And I'm really amazed at how can people believe in this guy to be Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. This guy from Pakistan, he claimed, Ghar Shahi, Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani, this Surkhi guy from Iraq, so many are dead. Most of them are died, and some of them are still alive. So, and this Qaini Burjardi from Iran, he came to home and started claiming. In the beginning, they didn't take him seriously. But then, like a few hundred people, he had a few hundred people following him. He had, 200, probably more following him. And then the government arrested him. And when they interviewed him, they've published everything on YouTube now in Farsi. But unfortunately, there will be many people who will fall prey to the false claims. But majority, if you have strong faith, you can tell that these guys are false. The Imam is Imam. You can tell the huge difference in knowledge and presentation, in the personality, in piety. So it is not difficult. And the Holy Prophet said, it's like haq and batil. When the sun comes out, all the stars are still there, but you can't see them because of the strength of the light of the sun. Some book in Urdu on the 12th Imam, Jamal Muntazar, There are so many books now in Urdu, alhamdulillah. Anyway, so
the next one is, oh, sorry, go ahead. How do we teach children the love of reading Quran, praying namaz, and love of Ahl al-Bayt? Growing up in the West, especially now, will be a very challenging feat since shaitan will be so normalized.
Okay. You have to, this love is not by force, but by understanding. But sometimes, when the children are little and you just teach them with love and respect and with the care, with, very early age. And then they build a habit. And once a person becomes acquainted at a very early age with namaz, with Quran, with Ayatul Kursi, with salawat, with majlis, and they can never leave it, but it has to be installed into them very early.
Next one is, a lot of non-Muslims ask how our Imam can be risen and how we can explain a lot with science such as quantum mechanics and physics. Obviously, science is below the Imam, but is it allowed to explain the occultation and the reappearance signs with science?
Okay, you can. Like Syed Sadr has a book on Imam Mahdi al-Islam, and he scientifically explains how can a person live for such a long time. He says that, for example, on the same skin, there are different hair growing. My beard, my hair on my head, my eyebrows, my mustache, and my, all of these different hair on my my face. Some change, some don't, some grow, some need to be cut, some need to be trimmed, some don't need to be trimmed. The food intake is the same. The proteins, the calcium, the high carbohydrates, the water intake, and the fats and everything, we're taking the same. But the effects of those on different parts of the skin and different hair on the skin are different. So scientifically, if the same body has different effects on different hair on body, then on different personalities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. So I think sometimes we need to understand ourselves and have faith. And many times people who first of all believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, you need to prove God, and then word of God, messenger of God, prophets. Then you come, then it becomes very much easier. You don't go straight to the 12th Imam. You first go to Allah, God. You go to the messenger, the prophets, and the holy prophets, then the Quran. Then you prove imamat, and then 12th Imam. Allama Iqbal was a Sunni, born, he didn't believe in the 12 Imams, but before his death, he left a will for Allama Hayri, Sayyid Ali Hayri, that you should give me ghusl kafan according to Shia, because after listening to your lectures, I have converted and believe in the 12th Imam in Islam. So you don't go straight into the 12th Imam, you need to go in sequence.
How do we know if our Imam is pleased with us?
Many times you don't, and this is one of the biggest things in this dunya, that you never know, no matter how much good you do, you don't know if the Imam al-Islam is pleased with you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with you, or the Imam al-Islam is pleased with you, and so you should always be careful and try and always please them. And that hope and fear makes you keep on the right path. But if you become, the Imam is pleased with me completely, so I should not fear of sins and going off the path. So that, keeping a balance is very important.
Is this pandemic considered as one of the signs before the reappearance of Imam?
No, we cannot say for certain. It could be. I'm not saying it is not. But you cannot say for certain, because the hadith said there will be many, many pandemics. Vaba. Vaba is a pandemic. So it could be an epidemic or a pandemic. And Vaba spreads in different parts of the world. They will start, an epidemic will start, and it will be controlled. There will be many, many different epidemics and then pandemics that will start and be controlled. They will stop. This could be one of the ones that is not the final one. It may be controlled. They will find a vaccine for it, and they will control it, by the hadith by Imam Sadr says that the final one that will kill the 1/3 of the world's population will be the one where people will not follow precaution, and they will think that it is not going to kill, nothing is going to happen, and that's when it's going to kill the 1/3. And that's not one of the major signs. It is not mahtoom, which is not, it has to happen. The Imam says Allah may even not allow it to happen, and then Allah may just send the Imam al-Islam without it. But some of the signs that I mentioned, without those signs, the Imam will not come, like coming of the Sufyani. Dajjal and Sufyani are not the same people. Dajjal is separate. And there'll be many Dajjal, but Sufyani is the person. Dajjal is probably a system, and Dajjal maybe, you know, like, I don't want to go into that now. But so the Sufyani is a person and not Dajjal. So we will, this is not necessarily the sign, this pandemic. It could be, but not necessarily.
In the times of Imam Hussain, there were many devout and pious companions who found out about the tragedy after it happened. How can we avoid this during the time of Imam alayhi salam, if obviously not part of the 313 to be a part of his army?
Okay, look, the means of communication were different, and we will have much better communication, and because it's the final message, no one will miss out. No one will go unheard. And the Laylatul Qadr announcement will be a clear sign. After Sufyani, when the scream you hear from the heavens, everyone will know. Everyone will hear it in their own language. People who are sleeping will wake up because of the fear. The people who are up and not sleeping, they will start crying and they will stand up. And the people who are sitting, they will stand up. Some people will die. So everyone will hear it. There will be no question that you will not find out. So when none of those major signs have happened, which are surely to happen before the coming of the Prophet Imam, then why believe in the false claims? So you shouldn't fall trap to these false claims. I am really shocked at some of the people who fall trap to these false claims. You know, so there'll be so many major signs before the Imam al-Islam comes. How can you miss those signs and then just believe in any false claim? And no one will miss it when the Imam al-Islam has come.
In the Gaibat of Imam, what are our roles and responsibilities towards our Imam?
Just to believe in him, to salute him all the time, to send salutations, to give sadaqah for his protection. These are just our ways of expressing love. So that sadaqah will benefit us. It will give increase in our sustenance, increase in our life, increase in our barakat. Because we're not giving it to the Imam, we're giving it to a poor person. So the Imam says, even in my name, help a poor person. One of the greatest things you could do is help another believer. They say that giving 1,000 camels or 1,000 horses in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, better than giving 1,000 horses in the way of Allah, is to help a believing person, a poor person. So helping other poor people, fulfilling your obligations, just remaining a good Muslim, good believer, just like a good follower of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the good follower of Imam Ali alayhi salam would mean a true follower of Imam Islam.
I've heard that along with the 12th Imam, other Masumeen will reappear. Is this true? And who else will reappear?
Not straight with the Imam al-Islam. So the Imam al-Islam will come first and he will establish peace and justice. He will rule for a long time, and then the Imams will come afterwards.
Can you shed light about Dajjal and Ashbekaf, sorry.
Okay, Dajjal is basically, you know, there are some traditions that say that it will be something like 30 Dajjal before the Imam Islam comes, you know, false claims and false people who will claim to be Imam Mahdi, people who will claim for, you know, prophethood. Sometime, you know, the final one will be with the wrong system, with the false system. People will, materialistic people, some even Muslims will follow him, but generally people who don't have faith, or people even with faith, will follow him. And he is a materialistic person who will mislead people into believing in certain things.
This question is, Imam alayhi salam will avenge the slaughter of Imam Hussain. How will that happen? Will there be a war? Will they be brought back?
So some say that, you know, just like when Hazrat Abbas al-Salam comes, so they will come in Raj'at, but some of the people who have wronged Ahlul Bayt, they will be brought back. So we have traditions that many of those will be brought back. And many of the main characters of Karbala, the murderers of Imam Sallallahu will be brought back, and the Imam will punish them. And many of the people, many of their followers today who will fight against the Imam al-Islam and say, we do not believe, and they will be coming to destroy the haram of Imam al-Islam with Sufyani. So today, their followers, when the Imam kills them, is basically killing the Yazid and his followers.
Do you have to become an alim to be in the 313?
You don't have to become, you don't have to wear the dress, you don't have to wear the imam, but you need to be learned, you need to be very practicing. You don't have to be a Maulana, if that's what you're asking. You don't have to be dressed like a Maulana, but you have to be very learned and you have to be very practicing. You need to be very pious, very clean and very pure of heart and very learned person in your own way. You know, you could be a doctor, engineer, whatever, and expert in your own way, but very pure, very clean, very practicing person. Learned, but very practicing, very pure of heart, very caring person of humanity. That you have to be amongst the 313.
Are Dajjal and Sufyani the same? If not, what is the difference?
No, I've answered this question earlier. No, Dajjal and Sufyani are not the same.
Apart from ourselves, through our years of research and understanding, who will guide us in recognizing Imam when inshallah he reappears? I understand Ayatollahs and Marjia will play a huge role there. Can we play a role in empowering them?
They will play a major role in introducing the Imam Islam, and there will be so many signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all the ulama will point out. A lot of the ulama may be under house arrest, or maybe under threat, or maybe under assassinations. A lot of the wars will happen, you know, Sufyanis and the likes of Daesh will kill so many Shias, so there will be, you know, but there will still be many good people who will be rising, who will be screaming out that the Imam Islam is coming. So if we will know, inshallah.
Do you mind shedding some light on Gog and Magog and what the relations are to Imam alayhi salam?
Gog and Magog, probably they're referring to Yajuj and Majuj from the Holy Quran, Gog and Magog. So they will reappear before the coming. So there are, you know, the Holy Quran mentions Yajuj or Majuj behind the wall of China. They eat all sorts of things and they will be empowered again. They will come out. So there are many evil powers that will appear before the coming of the Imam al-Islam. Many devils and evil people will come before the coming of the Imam al-Islam, the Dajjal, Sufyanis, and Gog and Magog, and so many things. And you will know. There will be all sorts of evil beings that will appear to misguide and kill, destroy. And they will be known, like Saddam is, you know, bad people you can tell very easily. When they come, you will know.
In times of pandemic and other such crises, how do you answer the question, why would Allah want so many innocent people to die?
If Allah sent it, then we will say, okay, why does Allah want so many people to die? But if Allah didn't send it, it is our own doing. The corruption that you see on the surface of the earth and in the oceans, meaning on the dry and in the oceans, is a doing of mankind. We have done things to cause them. Sometimes, you know, the nuclear test, I don't know, all sorts of things, mixing of, you know, unclean things with clean things, and eating so many haram things. And so the things we do cause all of these, all the corruption that you see on the surface of the earth and in the ocean is the doing of mankind. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it and he says, okay, this is, then use. Even then, if he sends, he doesn't want people to die. The Holy Prophet says in a hadith that if people die of a pandemic, if people who are believers, it is a mercy for them and they will not be held accountable and they will be forgiven. They will get the stature of, you know, status of a shaheed who die of because of pandemic. And if a disbeliever dies, it is a punishment for him.
Can we get, so this question is, some said why we should give sadaqah to Imam when he has all the powers.
Not give sadaqah to the Imam, but you should give sadaqah in the name of Imam to a poor person. Basically, it is not, you're not helping the Imam al-Islam, you're helping yourself, because the barakat of that will bring good to you. So you're not giving the sadaqah to the Imam, you're giving the sadaqah in the name of the Imam to a poor person, to a deserving person. So there's a difference between giving it to the Imam or giving it, and even if you give it to the Imam and it comes, it is not for his use, it is for the use of the poor people, for the deserving people.
Right now, Sheikh Zaki Nigeria is in jail, and there are Shias across the world that are suffering horrifically. As Shias in the West, what should we be doing, and what is our role?
A lot of the times, just to create awareness, and a lot of the times, just to help them out, sometimes financially, and many times you can't do much, but just to at least pray for them. So sometimes you can help, the orphans and the widows, education, fight their cases if you can, in whatever way possible, to give them a voice, to do whatever you can in your own capacity.
There's a question about taking loans from a bank. If we're out of a job and we're in need of money, is it allowed for us to take a loan from a bank?
If you are in need, then you can take a loan. If you have no other means, then you can.
Will Imam use modern technology when he arrives? For example, a voice in the sky that everyone hears in their own language is very similar to a Zoom webinar we are right now in.
Over 70 is regarded in Islam as elderly, and they are not to be killed. Even if they're attacked, then until they come and attack you, they still like women, children, you cannot kill. So then so there are so many things that the Imam al-Islam will be against. And even there are even still in Western universities and Western think tanks and Western philosophy. There are so many people opposing on ethical grounds that some of these things are unethical, they are inhumane, they are so Imam will not do anything which is un-Islamic, unhumane, or ethical. So everything will be ethical and Islamic or humane.
When will Ash-e-Kahab reappear, and when sun will rise from the west?
Ashab is basically so there are three people. I don't want to go into that now. They will come just before Sufyan. So Sufyan will come in the last year of the where he'll rise. He will be obviously born and brought up. He will be there for years. It's not that he's he's from outside. He is from us. He will grow an evil person, and before him will come some of Ashab will come before Sufyan. And in Syria will have many problems, and they will Iraq and Syria will have some of these personalities appear. And what was the other question? When will Ashab come, and
when will the sun rise from the west?
We don't know for that. So that will happen before Qiyamah, before coming of the Imam al-Islam, probably, or after the coming. But before the Day of Judgment, the sun will rise from the west.
Let me try to read this one. It says, Maulana, some say we have to pay for our sins in Qabr, no safhat, only in judgment. So there is no hope that we can be forgiven in Qabr. I'm not sure I understood.
Okay. So many people will suffer in this dunya. A lot of the people, for example, who die through pandemics, through starvation, through problems, illnesses, many people remain ill for years. So they are paying for their sins, and sometimes, they're paid penalties for the wrongdoings. And last few questions, because this.
Yeah, we're running, so we'll take two more. Many people, especially in Pakistan, are being made to feel guilty for taking COVID-19 seriously and advocating that masjids be closed with people saying their iman is weak. What is your advice and any examples from our Imam alayhi salam of calamities?
You know, pandemic is nothing new. We've had pandemics. If you look at the history, the West, East, every continent has had some sort of pandemic or epidemic. Epidemic is when it is on a lower scale. We've had, even in religious places, we've had before, after, even before, pre-Islamic. Many things are not recorded, and many times because it doesn't happen every so often. So that's why we don't know about them, and we haven't heard, and we haven't seen the reactions. In 1918, they had in the Spanish flu, the influenza. We've had American, so before that in Europe and in India, so many things we've had in the past 100 years, and even in the times of the Imam alayhi salam. So many people who are not practicing the precaution, the Imams alayhi salam have said that you need to follow precaution. There is a clear guidance from the Imam alayhi salam when ta'un or the plague or the pandemic comes. Then do, and if in a town you see that it has come, then do not enter that town. And if you're in a town where the pandemic has spread, do not leave that town. There are clear guidances from the Imam alayhi salam. There are so many hadiths. So even in previous times, the Hajj was closed, and in Ziyarat, in Samarra, there was a plague. And the ulama in the 1920s, I think 1920, they said that everyone should recite Ziyarat Ashura every day. Marhum Sheikh Abdullah Mamqani said it is wajib upon everyone who does my taqleed, or I think everyone, every Shia, that he must recite Ziyarat Ashura every day. In that time in 1920, when they had the plague in Iraq, in Turkey, or whatever, Iraq and Syria, I can't remember. So in Iraq, surely there was plague. So he made it wajib for every Shia. Now, and these days, ulama saying Ziyarat Ashura, Hadith Islam, whatever you can, recite something every day. From Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, dua number 7 of Sahih Fasad. Not leave. In the end of the times, there will be many pandemics, and the Imams have said, stay at home.
Maulana, the last question is, do you believe fantasizing about the events of the coming of Imam distracts us from real application of Islamic knowledge and lessons?
Fantasizing about the coming of the Imam Islam? Okay, look, preparation, the coming of the Imam al-Islam makes us, there are two types of waiting. One is you invite a person to the house and you say, okay, sit down and just wait. That's one sort of waiting. That's basically a fantasy that, okay, the Imam will come and do everything. We will not do that. The other is when you invite a person to your house, you clean the whole house, you wear new clothes, you cook the food, you prepare everything for the coming. So it is not that you're inviting the Imam, oh, the Imam al-Islam will come, we'll leave everything to the Imam. Prepare the grounds for the coming of the Imam. If you're not doing anything, then, so don't fantasize the Imam will come, so I should just wait. No, you should be doing something. Preparing the ground, meaning gain knowledge, practice more, do everything good in your own capacity to be with the Imam alayhi salam, not to be just fantasizing the Imam will come and then I'll just learn how to pray, I'll learn how to read Quran, I'll start fasting if the Imam comes. This is the best time you're at home. Learn how to read Quran, learn how to do wudu properly, learn how to do ghusl properly, learn your obligations, your prayers, and so much you can learn and gain knowledge. You should always be prepared. Good job, good knowledge, professional education, everything should be there. You shouldn't be fantasizing. Waiting for the Imam means preparing the grounds, gaining knowledge, and being learned. It doesn't mean just, oh, I'll wait for the Imam to do everything. What sort of Shia is that? To leave everything to the Imam alayhi salam.
Maulana, thank you so much for accepting our questions and for your guidance today. We appreciate your time, and both Ummah and Stand with Dignity, thank you. I know it's very late for you right now, at least for those of us from the US. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining, inshallah.
Thank you. We just wanted to do it for an hour and a half, so we've gone 1 hour 35 minutes. I thank everyone for listening. And if I haven't been able to explain and give, I wanted to give short answers so I could cover as many questions as possible. Thank you very much for listening, and may Allah bless all of you. Thank you. Yamanullah.
Thank you, Jazakallah. Yamanullah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your.
Thank you so much for accepting our questions and for your guidance today. We appreciate your time and both Ummah and Stand with Dignity. Thank you. I know it's very late for you right now, at least for those of us from the US. So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. We just wanted to do it for an hour and a half. So 1 hour, 35 minutes. Thank everyone for listening. And if I haven't been able to explain and give, I wanted to give short answers so I could cover as many questions as possible. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll address all of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maulana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jazakallah.
Thank you.